Today we're going to be making a silicone mold, so let's jump in and get started. So really quickly, I wanted to show you when you're making your own mold housings, a container like this with a flat edge on the bottom is going to be better than something like this where it's a bit rounded. So you can use, food containers to make your mold housings. Just make sure you clean the container out really well with soap and water. Make sure it's completely dried out before you use it. That is what I did with this yogurt container and cut off the bottom part so it is open for my mold housing. And for the bottom of my mold, today I'm going to be using packing tape. And this is basically going to be the bottom of our mold. And I just take about 4 or 5 pieces of this tape and overlap it on top of each previous piece to make sure it has a barrier so no silicone rubber is going to leak out. And for these, I like to make sure that there's about 1 inch of tape around the perimeter of my mold housing. So for this one, I used about 6 pieces of tape. Now I'm going to take my yogurt container, push it down right on top of that tape so it's nice and secure. And then I'm going to go in with some hot glue and just go around the perimeter of my yogurt container to make sure that it is sealed so no silicone rubber leaks out of my mold housing. And make sure you're really generous with the hot glue. Add, a little bit more than you think you'll need, just so you ensure you have no leaks of your silicone rubber. So I went ahead and did the rest of that off camera. Now we're going to mix up our silicone rubber. My silicone rubber is from Let's Resin. Discount code NAPTIME will give you a discount. This 30A silicone rubber is my favorite. It's got a part B and a part A, just like epoxy, but you do have to measure this product by weight. So you do need a digital scale for this. And today I was working on quite a few different projects when I was mixing up my silicone rubber. So I poured in 14 ounces of my part B, which is this blue part, and 14 ounces of my part A, which is the clear part. So it made 28 ounces total. It's a 1-to-1 ratio. So you need 1 part B to 1 part A. And this is the part A right here. It's the clear part. I also like this silicone rubber for beginners because it's got the 2 different colored parts and it's easy to see if it is mixed properly. Sometimes silicone rubber has the part A and the part B that is the same color. And if you're new to making molds, it can be a little bit difficult to tell if your silicone is completely mixed. So I prefer to have parts A and B be a different color just because it makes it a little bit easier. And like I said, you can get this silicone rubber from Let's Resin. Discount code NAPTIME will give you a discount. So we have 28 ounces right on the nose. We're going to mix this up for 5 minutes. And just like when you're mixing up resin, you want to mix it up slowly. Don't whip it up and introduce a bunch of air bubbles into it. Doing a figure 8 motion when you're stirring will help mix it up as well. Make sure you're scraping the bottom of the cup, scraping the sides of the cup. Scrape off your stir stick. And you can see what I was talking about on my stir stick. You can tell the striations of the part A and B won't be visible and it'll just look completely blue. That's how you know it's completely mixed. And if you mix it for 5 minutes, it'll be completely mixed as well. I took that mixed up silicone rubber, poured it into 3 separate cups, ran it through my bubble remover machine from Let's Resin. This product works great to get rid of bubbles in your resin and your silicone rubber. It's very easy to use. You just push down the lid, hit the button, run it for 5 minutes. It turns off on its own and degasses on its own. Take off the lid and you're good to go. So today we're going to be molding this gorgeous amethyst crystal. This is an Angel Aura amethyst crystal. And if you're molding real crystals, it's best to get one that's flat on the bottom like this. And you want to make sure you have an even amount of space around the item that you're molding. This one, I wish I would have put it a little bit more to the right, but it ended up working out fine. It was okay. As long as you have about 1/8 of an inch around the item that you're molding, you'll be fine, but you want to make sure you center it as best as you can. I just pushed the amethyst crystal down on top of that tape, and I'm pouring on that silicone rubber that we mixed up. I wasn't completely sure how much silicone rubber this was going to take because I typically don't use mold housings that are this large, but it ended up taking about 16 ounces. So if you were just going to make A mold like this, you would do 8 ounces part B, 8 ounces part A to make 16 ounces total. And when you're making your own mold, you want about 1/8 of an inch around what you're molding and then above what you're molding. So wherever your item ends in your mold housing, you want to pour your silicone rubber at least 1/8 of an inch above that, because your mold can rip if you pour it too thin. When you're trying to demold it, it could rip on the sides or the bottom. So 1/8 of an inch is the minimum. So unfortunately, about 5 hours after I poured this, I went out into my garage to check on it, and I could see silicone rubber was leaking from the bottom of my packing tape. I had a spot where my packing tape was not completely overlapped on each other to make a barrier, so I quickly grabbed a piece of transfer tape, picked up my entire mold, placed it on that, tried to fold the transfer tape around my mold housing, and it still leaked out. This was the next day. I lost like over half of my silicone rubber, but it's okay. We're gonna fix it. I wanted to show this video to you guys to show you, don't panic. You can always fix it, because silicone rubber will bond to silicone rubber, and that first layer was cured, so it completely formed inside the mold housing, so there was nowhere that this second layer was going to leak out. So off camera, I mixed up some more silicone rubber, and we're just filling up the mold housing the rest of the way. So if you're using packing tape on the bottom of your mold housing, just triple check and make sure that there's no spaces in between that packing tape, and so the silicone rubber won't leak out. I had never had that happen before. I just must have not been paying attention this day. I've made tons and tons of molds, never had this happen, but sometimes accidents happen, but it's okay. It ended up working out. This is day number 3. You can see the silicone rubber just peels right off your table, and you could cut up the silicone rubber into little tiny pieces and use it as filler if you're making a really big mold, so that way you don't have to use as much silicone rubber. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, I made a huge 10-inch ceramic flower silicone mold. So cutting up this silicone rubber and saving it for making another mold like that would be great. So I just pulled the tape off the bottom, and now I'm just taking my little cuticle trimmer, trimming up the spot where all that silicone rubber started to leak out from my tape. Just taking my time, going around. I actually love trimming the silicone rubber with my cuticle trimmer. It's like one of those oddly satisfying things. I'm going to take my little scissors, cut down the side of my mold housing, and once you break the seal, you'll be able to take your thumbs, push from the top, and then your mold will pop right out. So this mold was definitely a learning experience, so it was not a fail. It ended up working out well. I'm going to take my cuticle trimmer and just trim around the amethyst crystal that we used, and I'm going to let you listen to the demolding sound. I love hearing the crunch when you demold molds like this. You can see all the beautiful facets from the crystal transferred to the mold. And this crystal actually had a little bit of dirt on it. I did not notice that, so the dirt did also transfer to my mold, and that's okay. It's not going to affect your resin castings, but if you decide to mold real crystals, I would just rinse them off in the sink really quickly. Let them dry completely before you make your mold. I'm going to trim up the interior cavity, and here's how it turned out. It ended up working out well. The resin pieces made in this mold are going to be sparkly and beautiful, just like the amethyst crystal. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions down in the comments. I hope you give mold making a try. It's so fun and so easy to make your own molds, and definitely check out Let's Resin, discount code NAPTIME. Thanks for watching.